you work, where you live, there are unwritten rules everywhere. And today, what I'm going to ask you to consider doing is to get outside your comfort zone. I'm going to ask you to think a little bit different, and I'm going to ask you to consider the possibility of changing how you think. Now, by the way, for some of you, this is going to be easy. Every year, I talk to people that love change, but most of us hate change. Let me see if I can show you what it's going to feel like. And to do this, I need your help. If you would, just sit up straight where you are for a second and put your hands up in the air like this. Now, if you would, take your hands and clasp them in front of you. Take a second and look at your thumbs. How many of you in here have the left thumb on top of the right thumb? Okay, how many have the right thumb on top of the left thumb? Okay, how many are not really sure which thumb is on top? Okay, put them up in the air again. Put them back together again. Look at your thumbs again. How many of you have the exact same thumb on top? This is an example of a pattern. And let me show you what it feels like as you try and change your patterns. Put your hands up like this. Here's what I'm going to ask you to do. I'm going to say together. When I say together, you put them together. When I say apart, put them apart. I'm going to do that twice. The third time, all I'm going to say is switch. When I say switch, put your hands together, but put the opposite thumb on top. Let's see what happens. You ready? Here we go. Together, apart. Together, apart. Switch! That's all right. I've got a guy up front going like this. It's not really working. Okay. My all-time favorite, every once in a while I get someone that goes like this. Okay, switch. And they just can't figure it out. And here's the problem. How many of you in here felt weird when you did that? The challenge is even greater than that, though, and here's the challenge. If you decide to change how you think, if you look at some of the general unwritten rules, and you're willing to break through some rules, it may not only make you uncomfortable, but it also makes the people around you uncomfortable. True story. We live in New Hampshire. I will tell you, our town does not have a stoplight. We have a corner variety store. You cannot get anywhere, and there is nothing to do. Both of my sons have graduated. They're out of college. They come home for about a day because they say after that there's nothing to do. And consequently, when my wife and I have some extra time, we will often go for a walk together. We've been married 33 years. We love to hold hands. It's very romantic until I got involved. And both of my boys will tell you that I do bizarre things, so let me tell you what I did. I'm walking with my wife, and I'm holding her hands. It's very romantic, and I notice that when I hold her hand, she puts her thumb on top of mine. Not right or wrong, but it's very comfortable. If you have someone special, try this. You will not like the results. But I'm walking like this, and I get this idea, and all I do is this. And I put my thumb on top of hers. And guess what she does? So I do it a second time, and sure enough, she's back. Then I made a mistake. I did it a third time. And my wife is like this, cut it out. I don't know what you're doing, but it better stop now. And here's the point. We are creatures of habit, and we like to do things like we've always done them. How many of you in here have a routine every morning and you do things exactly the same way? If you watch baseball players, it'll drive you crazy. They do this over and over again. And for them, it's significant, and sometimes they're healthy and sometimes they're not. But what I'm going to ask you to think about, and what we're really going to talk about today, is just one big idea, and here it is. How you think affects how you act.